Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, taking your business on the road, literally.
Plus, growing your business through sales. And we tackle the age-old question, start a business or go to business school?
We have this and more next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making a difference in Hampton Roads. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We begin today with the Wandering Petal, a mobile flower shop. Find out why the owners decided to put what's traditionally a brick and mortar business on wheels. We are here today talking to two startup business owners, Sherry Sable and Nicole Turkenkopf, the co-owners of the Wandering Petal. Sherry, Nicole, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And as far as you know, you told me that it is the only mobile floral boutique on the East Coast, which I think is such a cool concept.
Yes.
How did you come up with it?
Well, I started floral design about 6 or 7 years ago in California and moved back to the area, Hampton Roads area, and was doing floral design on the side. Mm-hmm. Didn't quite want to open a shop because that's a lot of, rent and overhead. And I met Sherry, and her daughter was getting married, and we hit it off, and that's kind of how it came about. And we found a truck, and
we started out thinking that we would do more pop-ups and selling flowers out of the truck, and then we realized that there was a much higher demand for larger events, and so we went from one idea to the next, but we had to grow with the demand, and we had to change what our ideas were.
How did you work to get customers in the early days? You have a truck, you have a mobile unit. Mm-hmm. How did you get your name out there to get people to know that you do what you do?
We did start out at the farmer's market, and the sales weren't great, but people saw the truck, they took interest, they were like, what is this new concept? And we met some first brides, and then with those brides came their bridesmaids and so on and so forth.
So the brides were not your first target market?
Not essentially, no. Initially it was going to be more of a European style flower market was my essential idea. But then you start talking to the public, they're like, well, I can buy my flowers here and there and everywhere, and you have perishable products. So it became more of like, we're literally a mobile floral shop. So when we have an event, we drive to the event, we set up in the truck, and then we can make changes, anything else we can add to what people want, and really be customize what people need.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So new businesses don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, on marketing, and you have time to get the word out.
Yes.
So hence more connections.
Yes.
My daughter was in school for engineering, and she put together a wonderful website. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So we were able to then claim that we had a website. We did work with a lawyer right away to get business patents and the website secured.
Our name, everything secured. So it's really been social media. It's been Instagram has been huge. Learning the hashtags that are most tagged or followed, and then just brides just tend to check that a lot. And I like I had said before, I think it's really taken over Facebook. So I try to post once a day, if not multiple times a day, all my work and Sherry's work, and people really respond to it. So I think that is a huge part of marketing, and word of mouth. People talk to each other. People ask, who did you use? Who was easy to work with? And in this industry, it really helps. And we work really hard to make the brides happy and what their vision is. And we just, we're just both hard workers and want to make their vision come true. So that goes a long way.
On Instagram, a lot of businesses, especially in your space where it's so visual, they find the same results. But what is it that you post? Is it simply pictures of the flowers and then a couple of lines of text? Like, what does that look like?
We post, Sherry recently posted, just because it shows her building knowledge, a picture. She built a headboard for her daughter. And she goes, it's not an arbor, but I've been building, because she loves, and it got a ton of likes, like a lot more than we usually get. So I think people just like to see different things. I mean, flowers get a lot of likes, but they like to see brides too in their element. So we just had a wedding this last weekend, and I posted some pictures of the bride, and people loved it because they love to see the product that we're producing. It's different, it's unique, and a happy customer. So that helps.
Well, that's basically what she posts too. She posts a little of everything we do each time, whether it's at Christmas and we're decorating somebody's home, or whether it's just a one-time delivery. We have routine customers who like things once a week. And so we have those as steady customers, and we're thankful for those. And,
Absolutely.
And then each time we have a bride, and every bride has a different vision, so we're able to photograph that and put it on Instagram so they can see our many different
Looks.
views. Yeah,
Yes.
we have a lot of different looks outside of the box, but we can usually bring it together.
Sherry and Nicole, thank you so very much.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for sharing
you.
your journey with us.
Thank you so much.
So should you start a business or get an MBA? Michael Schwarting did both, and he'll tell you his thoughts next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Knockerball Hampton Roads founder Michael Schwarting and Regent University alum. How's it going?
It's going well.
So a hot topic, start a business, get an MBA. You did both. Which one did you do first?
I started a business first.
Okay. And then you realized that the education piece was important. How did you kind of come up with the idea to
Sure,
get it?
great question. I move in life based on passion, what really motivates me, and I had already done it somewhat successfully in business. I didn't feel like I had arrived or anything, but I had a good amount of money that was earmarked only for me to utilize for education. And so I just got to a point where we were having pretty good success with our other company, and Knockerball was coming. I knew that I was moving towards some other ideas, and I said, hey, why don't we take a pause and get a really good curriculum-based and theory-based education under my belt. Because basically all I did was I rolled out of the military and started running with the ball. And so I took a look at a lot of different programs that were out there. For me, it was important to remain in Hampton Roads. I have a big responsibility with 4 kids, and so I didn't want to take off, especially after all the military deployments. And then I started looking at, okay, what's most important for me in an MBA program? And really the reason why I landed at Regent is undeniably true, which is they are a highly ethically based program.
And was there something specific in that curriculum that really made you go, okay, even if they're the same, I really want to learn that piece, or that's what I really needed? Because you're 20, 25 years out of high school.
Sure.
You know, you hadn't had a formal education in a while, and so you're doing something that people did, you know, decades before. Like, was there something specific that you thought you really needed and really focused on in that piece?
Yeah, for me, I elected international business because I actually speak 4 languages, and I kind of had a feeling that I would.
Can we stop right now and you do a different language?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, the man thing.
There
Really put on.
you go.
So for me, that was really important. You know, to have that ability to support where I thought I was going. What's really funny about the situation was the most beneficial courses at Regent for me were the entrepreneurial ones, which you know, I'm not moving internationally right now. So, but the education that was provided was outstanding.
What type of things were you taught that you didn't think about?
Really more the behind the scenes, the metrics, the numbers. How do we look at business through different filters? You know, because you can be super passionate about something and it could be a sinking ship and you don't realize it. So to really get that education was critical, and it just I gained different perspective on how to look at business and the future of business, and are we really thriving in the manner that we think we're thriving based on the numbers.
So numbers don't lie, but they don't tell a story. How do you put that story around those numbers?
In particular to Knockerball or in business?
Or in any business that you've had?
Well, I mean, you know, I think in business we have to have something that somebody wants, whether it's a product or a service, and then really building that story to the point where you're really moving that snowball of consumers towards whatever that business is. You know, the key to it is having that solid story. We have to be able to understand our business, and then more importantly, we have to be able to deliver the message of our business in a way that captivates the person that wants to either buy that product or receive that service.
So someone that is contemplating starting a business or maybe going to school and get that formal education, what were the tips that you learned that would be good and beneficial to them?
Well, for one, having a good business mentor, I think that that's important. And when it comes to the entrepreneurial space, that could be a multitude of people and entities. I've never been the investor type of entrepreneur. I've been, the rugby player who likes to pick the ball up and run with it and really make it successful. And that's what I liked about Knockerball. They had already proved everything. They had already done the due diligence. They had already done all the risk. I'm a highly risk-averse person in nature. I want to balance that risk when I move towards business. And I just saw a business that I can really take because I enjoy the energy, I enjoy the brand, I enjoy the fitness side of it, and really run with it and kind of make it my own.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Celebrating 10 years in business, and Brad Scott has quite a bit to share. Hear how the CEO of Seton Corp talks about the ways to grow a successful company. Coming up next on HR Business Weekly. We are here today with Brad Scott, the president and CEO of Seton Corp based in Chesapeake. Brad, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl.
You're celebrating a big milestone for Seton Corp, 10 years in business this month. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So 10 years ago this month, the picture was very, very different. You've got a beautiful office space in Chesapeake, but that's not how you started way back when.
No, not at all. 10 years ago, actually, this month. Interesting enough, I had a good job with a good company. I was looking to do something different, and it's been something that had been on my mind for a long time, working at various places. So I took $5,000 out of the bank and put it into, started a business, Seton Corp, and came home and told my wife I quit my job and I started a company. She asked me the logical question of, do you know what you're doing? I shook my head yes. When inside, I was thinking, really, I did not.
Oh man, I think a lot of people watching understand that and maybe are planning to do that. So talk a little bit about, okay, one day you have a job, a nice job. The next day you say, I'm betting on myself. What were the steps that you took to get toward where you are today?
Sure. Like I said, I'd been planning it for some time. You used to work for a large corporation, and with that, got a lot of great experience and support. And with that, though, sometimes we focus a little too much on the stock price, and decisions were made based on stock price. At that time, when I left that company, I started about starting Seton Corp, but I realized I needed more experience, me personally. I had the idea and the thought process, but I needed some more experience in small business. With that, Cheryl, I actually went to work for another company, and they focused a little less on the employee. Those types of things. So some things came together, which, as I was planning and putting my plan together, I thought about starting Seton Corp many times. But one of the things I finally decided and learned is I'm not going to know everything day one. So it was almost paralysis through analysis through paralysis, or paralysis through analysis. And with that, I finally made the leap to start Seton Corp.
Nice. You started at home. So
Yes.
You were a home-based business and you grew very successfully. So can you talk to us about getting those clients that helped you move from your home office into something much greater? So the path to growth.
Sure, absolutely. And having a solid plan and doing the right thing, having integrity with clients is a huge thing. It's one of the things that our clients have told us that they did take a gamble. It was a one-person company, and as they would continue to grow. But a lot of them still today tell me how proud they are of Seton Corp and our growth and our joint relationship together. And a lot of that there was some gamble on their part, but they understood, from a company perspective and the core values that we brought to them was going to be a jointly successful relationship.
That's something really nice to hear.
Absolutely.
I know it is. We should probably mention that your company helps other businesses run more efficiently. So you use the experience that you gained in corporate America and then formerly in the military. So congratulations
Yes,
on
thank you.
taking all of that experience and helping other businesses do what they do best. We want to talk about some challenges, which I know you had to have some in the past
Absolutely.
decade. What are some things that you can share with us regarding challenges that you've figured out?
Sure. I think one of the things, as I've mentioned previously, is is, you're not going to have all the information, day one. And as you continue to grow on the journey, you're not going to have that. But, one of the things is to recognize that and either go get that knowledge, through education, through various things that are available here in our community. And likewise, find, understand your weaknesses and hire the folks that can complement those. I truly believe a person's greatest strength is knowing their weakness, because if you know your weakness, you can work around that.
And then find people who have other strengths that complement the things that you are not so good at.
You're exactly.
Any pieces of advice for others who are in that boat? Maybe they are in a corporate job that is a great opportunity, but they are still wanting something more, like you did.
Sure. I think part of it is understanding your risk and the ability to take that risk, because there's going to be many challenges, whether they're financially, emotionally, those types of things from an education perspective, and there'll be a lot of things to learn, but you need to understand your risk tolerance. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and that's absolutely okay. Likewise, for me to sit in an office and clock in and clock out isn't for me. I like the excitement. I love the roller coaster, if you will.
You're okay with the ups and the downs and trying to find those new challenges to overcome.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Brad Scott, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Congratulations
Appreciate it,
to another 10 more.
Thank you.
What's the one thing your company needs? Sales. And how can you get more of it? Chad Stenzel is going to teach us how next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Chad Stenzel, Sandler Training of Hampton Roads. Thanks for being with us today.
Great to be here, Zach.
So I have an organization, and I know that for me to grow, I need money, I need sales. But I don't necessarily love sales as a person, but I know that I need it to grow. How do I kind of create a structure for my company to grow via sales?
That's a great question, Zach. And you asked a good question, because the first thing you have to realize is that you do need structure to be successful in sales. So one of the things that I do, Zach, when I talk to business owners and salespeople, I'll ask them, I said, hey, do me a favor, sketch out right now, put about 5 or 6 boxes on a piece of paper and fill out for me what your sales process is from the first time you engage a prospect all the way through to service and delivery. What does that look like?
So could that first piece be at a networking event, on a website as a lead, up to the sale, and then everything in between?
Sure, everything in between. But what do you think happens when I ask business owners to sketch that out?
Well, if they don't know, they probably fill out a box, maybe.
Sure. Most of the time they look at it and they say, we hadn't quite thought about that, or we haven't put that in place. Or sometimes they'll say, oh, absolutely, we've got a system in place. So I'll say, great, bring in your VP of sales and your director of sales, and let's have them fill it out and let's see if it matches. And about 95% of the time, what do you think happens?
Mismatch.
Exactly. And so then they realize, well, we thought we had a process, but it's not really effectively communicated throughout the organization.
Interesting. So you fill out the 6 boxes and you realize that there isn't really a process there. How then do you build a process for step 1 to step 7? And like we were saying earlier, it could take up to 20 positive interactions for you to convert that person into a sale. Like, how do you keep that mindset? But first, how do you create the pipeline or the process for them to even fill in each of those boxes?
Sure, let's start with the 20 interactions, because absolutely when it comes to prospecting, sometimes it takes a lot of drips to really get into that initial conversation. One of the things that we teach, though, is it's better to win fast and lose fast than to have a sales process that drags on and on once you're engaged.
Ain't that the truth?
And that can be tough for some people, right? Because we want to know that, hey, I've still got this great prospect out there. So one of the things that we teach is have that process in place, but know when to qualify and when to sort of lose that contact.
So what's qualifying mean in that case? Do you have a budget? Can you afford this?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, do you really need what we offer? And that's one of the things that a lot of salespeople miss, I think, is they think about the fact that, hey, I've got this great product, service with all these features and benefits, but the problem is nobody cares what you sell, right? What your product or service is. What they care is, can it fix this problem that I have? So the first thing is, do you have a need there? The second thing is...
I mean, just do people even want the product? Will they buy it? That type of, like, validating the actual business?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it something that makes sense for them? Second thing is, do they have a budget for it in place? And are they ready to make a decision about it? So we teach people to actually work hard to qualify the prospect, then the closing side becomes easy. Most people want to learn 24 ways to close the sale.
Sure.
And what I tell them is learn one really good way to qualify the prospect, the close becomes easy.
One of my favorite strategies that I've used in business, and people think I'm crazy to do this, I think you're going to agree with it, is I go, hi, my name's Zach Miller, what's your budget? Right? And I do that in a more creative way, but I'm not spending hours on a proposal. I'm not spending all this time figuring out what they need. I figured it out pretty early. They don't need me. And if they don't, I don't waste any of that time. If they do, then I might be willing to spend a little bit of time into that. How could someone maybe who is reluctant to ask that question, do you agree with that kind of strategy? In a way?
I do. Now, I will tell you the budget step for us comes a little bit later in the interaction, but here's what I love about what you did there, Zach, is we call that a pattern interrupt. People expect when they run into a salesperson a certain flow of the conversation, right? We all do the same thing. We walk into a store and somebody says, may I help you? What's the first thing we say instinctively?
No, I'm good.
Just looking, right?
Yeah.
And so what you need to learn to do to be different in sales is you've got to have a pattern interrupt. So starting off with, hey, I'm Zach Miller, what's your budget? Great pattern interrupt, because now the person who might have this sort of thing in their head of how they'll respond to a salesperson, they have no idea what to say next.
So qualify early and have kind of the process in place to manage your sales process to make more money.
Absolutely.
Chad Stenzel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach.
And with that, we wrap up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Make sure you like us on Facebook and Twitter, and then head over to hrbusinessweekly.com to get more information and watch previous shows.
For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by 13 News Now.